Welcome to StackChart Spotlight, everyone. I'm Steve Taylor, and this is Garrett Brown, and we're from
Hello.
Channel Program. Garrett, when I ran my MSP, network monitoring it wasn't really a big thing yet. At least there weren't any tools that simplified network monitoring. Wireshark was the big tool that everyone I knew used. What about you, man?
Uh, you know, so yeah, back then it was different. It was kind of different stages for it was like network discovery. You'd use things
Mhm.
like God, what was it we use? Like quick, simple stuff like angry IP scanner,
Oh yeah.
advanced LAN scanner. We would do that, and that was sort of that was a rudimentary kind of manual way to do it back then. But
Mhm.
it was also good for I mean, basically, it would help you do your asset discovery and
Mhm.
monitoring, and so it was that. But then, as things got Wireshark too. That was always but as things got more uh, evolved in the industry, VMs are coming out. The cloud was kind of everybody was moving their workloads and other stuff to the cloud. So network monitoring sort of became this. It's no longer on prem
Mhm.
that it used to be. And it was that was kind of thing like the on-prem allowed you, of course, just basic stuff like subbing out, subnetting your printers and subbing different your VoIP phones, all different subnets, things like that. But as things went to the cloud, then you started seeing. I remember Demont's
Mhm.
came out, and it was like, oh, interesting. I haven't really seen like a cloud based so network
Yeah.
monitoring, you might say. At the time, I was like, all right, but the way we used it really wasn't there, right? And I wasn't really sure, but now things gone crazy. Now you have all these guys, and but they go farther now. They make it a little easy to use, and um, there's like instant automated documentation around it.
Yeah.
A lot of these guys are like they're, they're they're sort of baking in the compliance aspects too, which is awesome because
Oh
not just
yeah.
internal, it's so. Um, but yeah, I network monitoring and management was one of my favorite things. I loved it. It was just something. It was awesome, especially when you go on a client,
Mhm.
first time discovery, just like hey, do you even know what this is, and kind of find out, what they know and what they don't know. Um,
Absolutely. Yeah, so let's check out today's stack chart. Like I said, we're looking at network monitoring. You can get to the stack chart very simply by going to channelprogram.com. And then
mhm.
if you hover over research and events, you'll see here we got explore stack charts. And we've got tons of categories that you guys can check out. Uh, with network monitoring, you'll see we've got four that are on the board here. They're all ranked nicely. You'll see Avik is up in this top right chart toppers quadrant. They are just killing it with reviews, man. We've got 68 reviews for Avik, but all of these platforms are ranking well. We've also got a bunch of solutions that don't yet have any reviews in them. So in order to show up on the stack chart, you got to have a review.
Yeah.
So for the vendors watching this, going, why isn't my thing on here? Maybe ask some MSPs to shoot a review in here, so that way we can get you up on the stack chart.
Yeah.
Now, I do want to talk about some reviews. Like I said, congrats to Avik for being in that upper right quadrant. Uh,
Mhm.
Garrett, how do reviews work, man?
Basically, we ask you serious questions. You know,
Hmm.
recommend it in a nutshell. Would you recommend it? How satisfied are you with you? And some of your own comments. But we rank them by you can say popularity, but it's really based on the number of reviews they get and how satisfied are you. And the quadrants sort of indicate what the community is saying. And of course this is driven by the community. the number of reviews, what they're saying, how they're rating. Specifically saying that because it's is not a pay to play, pay to be on the chart. By a lot of
Right.
vendors. So even if you're free, that vendor's free. They have reviews in there. They're going to be up there. It doesn't matter who's up there paying. And we for each review that you do leave and it is approved, it take about 5 business days for approval to come through. But it's a $10 gift card that you will be eligible for. And but yeah, man, it's there's all kinds of questions like you're seeing right here that we ask, and we use these to kind of structure out that scalability and to kind of get an accurate assessment of where that the vendor's product specifically was sort of on the radars of MSPs. Yeah, it's kind of what you were just saying there, like, hey, leave a review for your vendors because
Absolutely. And I want to say, looking at these reviews, I'm loving what I'm seeing. Aavik, I see a lot of people saying that ease of use, ease of setup, implementation, that's a common strength across the board, right? For Network Glue, I see a lot of people saying integrations is a big strength. Domat's frequency of product updates. That one, that's huge. You definitely want to make sure that whatever platform you're using, they're keeping it maintained, right?
Yeah.
And then Synchro, all of their reviews seem to be really thrilled with the support. I also happen to know from personal experience that Synchro is phenomenal at doing frequent product updates. And that's not to say that Aavik and Network Glue and the other guys don't. I just, Domots and Synchro, I know are good for that. So make sure you guys check out the StackChart Spotlight and the reviews, so that way you have a good idea of how these platforms are ranking when you're doing that software selection. And if you're using one of these other network monitoring platforms, make sure you leave a review to help MSPs make an educated decision on what platform to choose. Garrett, I think we're good with the screen share here. Now, the next segment here we've got is the feature spotlight. When doing our research on network monitoring tools, I really like how Domots talks about how their platform aligns with CIS Controls. And that's, again, not to say the other platforms don't, but they showcase that on their website and they make it really clear like what controls they work with, or not work with, but you know what I mean, like what controls they focus on, and what boxes they can kind of check off for you as the MSP. Garrett, you are much more versed in cybersecurity than I am. Can you talk to us about these controls and what this means for MSPs?
Yeah, I mean, I want to make an assumption here. Their audience, they understand what CIS is, but it's a Center for Internet Security. They have a framework of sort of check boxes, and it's layered. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think it's 4, and things that you can do. And with networking, monitoring management in general, that's exactly what I was saying earlier about things have evolved and they're sort of baking in compliance with CIS controls and coming into this. Basically, you're providing cybersecurity framework for your clients that with industry best practices, and it's you're demonstrating to them that you, the MSP, you're committed and you understand that you're implementing a strong cybersecurity posture, because the range of threats that we are seeing, I mean, they're all over the place. But when you lean on things like insurance, cybersecurity insurance, and or best practices, things like that, it helps the state of mind by being able to say, listen, here's how we set this up. It enhances your service portfolio. And then there's the other thing that I think a lot of us see out there that we came across a lot was the competitive advantage of being able to use things like the CIS controls. Like we follow a standard as opposed to, ask anybody else, have they ever talked about standards? Like we follow them and we can demonstrate it and we could show reasonable efforts to do that. That in turn, I think can instill confidence in the client. Come back to you, they're confident in you, you know what you're doing. And then also it helps with streamline the compliance, because compliance is tough. There's a lot of manual work. So it's sort of baked in, it's built in, it helps, But, with the CIS specifically, I was kind of pull up some of these controls, but what they were doing, they help with the inventory and control of enterprise assets. That's basically, anything on the network, servers, and that stuff. I think they do it. They probably do it through discovering, through MAC addresses. And also there's the other control is the securing the configuration of the assets and software. And it's basic stuff like that configuration of this could be something as super simple as not having the admin default a user password on printers, on or whatever. I mean, things like that. It helps you just sort of say, hey, here's what it is. And for scanning of ports, active ports, that whatever. And then if there's a port filtered, you can say, hey, why is it filtered? It has a reason that's being filtered, whatever. But the other thing is vulnerability management that they have here, and this is big because in today's world, vulnerability management, the updates that we get, just pops up left and right. And it's always good to know that. So we're getting formed quicker, we're seeing them quicker. But with the workload that you would have, sometimes you can't always get to it quickly. So when you have something like that, a lot of these guys have some automation in there. They can help you just address it, in a relatively quick period of time. So that's really good. And then the network infrastructure, kind of asset management, and just there's a lot of that in there.
Yeah. So I want to just recap. They focus on controls 1, 4, 7, 12, 13, and 15. So of the 18 controls, they're doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. And I'm sure they're not doing every little piece of it, but it's good that they're helping you focus on those, and they even tell you where they do it, which is phenomenal. So thanks for sharing that with us, Garrett. Make sure you do plenty of research when choosing your next network monitoring solution. Every one of these platforms has neat features, and we don't have time to talk about all of them, okay? So we just wanted to kind of pick one and spotlight it. The final segment I want to go through is the MSP Buyers Guide. Here are some considerations for you to keep top of mind when you're reviewing network monitoring solutions. The first thing I want you to think about is device support. You've standardized the networking equipment that you deploy to your clients, right?
Yeah.
Well, does the platform that you're considering integrate with all of your tools? Do you have something that doesn't integrate with any network monitoring tools? Sometimes you might need to compromise on hardware in order to have the software monitoring that works the best. Something else I want you to think about is alerting and notifications. What options are available for that? Does it integrate with your PSA or RMM? Can it send email or SMS notifications? Can you customize what notification types are used for different alert severities? Maybe you want to get a text message and a ticket and all kinds of, you want the sirens blazing if a mission critical component like a firewall or router or the whole internet goes down for a client. But you don't need all that if a printer goes offline. Maybe they're just restarting it. So yeah, those are two things I want you to think about. Garrett, what do you think? Are there some things you think people should think about?
Yeah. One of the biggest drawbacks that when we were doing them early on was the you do this discovery and the mapping, but it was also the the topology of the network, but the documentation of it,
Mhm.
and seeing the relationships between them. So a lot of people now have it to where they have this nice topology like graph, and you can see that. That's particularly important, especially person, looking at it. You can connect real quick and have an idea what's going on. Um, so that's a particularly big important thing. Also, is what we're talking about security and the compliance. It's not just CIS controls, but what do they help with? They can help them with like what types of compliance, HIPAA, whatever. The encryption. Just different industry standards, especially when you're working with different clients in different industries. So that's always a big one, because once you make a decision, especially with security and HIPAA, I mean, security and compliance,
Mhm.
um, it kind of, yeah, you need to make sure you're covered, especially going into new clients.
Absolutely. And the last one I think we have time for is um, integrations and APIs.
Yeah.
Does the platform integrate with your existing tools like your RMM and your PSA? Not to mention all the networking devices that you want to be able to monitor and control. Does it offer APIs for custom integrations? Something that's becoming real popular right now is RPA, robotic process automation. That's tools like Roost and Pia, and I'm sure there's others. I just can't think of them right now. But these platforms are great for automating like the entire onboarding of new customers. So can you set up that type of automation for your network monitoring tool too? Um, Many of these network monitoring platforms integrate with all the major PSAs, RMMs, even communication platforms like Teams and Slack. So
Mhm.
you've got lots of options available when you're looking at these things. So I don't want you to um, think that you're going to be pigeonholed or think that you're going to have to compromise because they really are all fantastic solutions.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, it just depends on too, what kind of team you have, how you want to approach it, things like that. Because yeah, there's different ways, but these guys they're getting a lot of the check boxes right now that didn't used to exist back then. So taking a lot of
Absolutely.
manual stuff off. So it's nice. It's nice to see what's happening right now.
I agree completely. Well, hey, that's all we have for today's StackChart Spotlight. Join us next week when we talk about risk and compromise assessment solutions. Take care, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.